Hello, hello, hello. Oh, AAA, how are you doing today? Come in closer. We have so much to learn and talk about. So this little bit of theme music for the AI world. My name is Joanna Peña-Bickley, and many of you know me as a design engineer. I was one of Alexa's many moms. And for the last 15 years, I've been designing the AI products that you love, and for some small little companies that you've never heard of, probably, right? IBM, Uber, Amazon, just to name a few. And for those of you who have Alexa devices in your homes, I want to personally thank you. The 100 million of you who have trusted me and my products in your homes, cars, on your wrists, and now, as you can see, in my ears. As the host of the podcast Designed By, I've had the privilege of bringing you humans who are not leaving life to chance and designing a future that we should not fear, we should love. So, and now I'm actually the CEO of a company named Vibes AI, where we are pioneering a new frontier of native AI computers. Our vision, enhancing human potential and unlocking a world of endless resilience and possibilities. Lastly, I know that so many of you fear that AI is going to take your jobs. And that's why I co-founded the Design Corps, which is a nonprofit working on the resilience of our workforce. So without further ado, I want to kind of take us into the future. Some people call me a future. I'm not. I build futures. And so when we think about this, we need to think about how this is going to impact your business. Now, for some of you, you'll know that this isn't my first time on this stage. The last time we were together, it was about 2021. And it was a really scary and ambiguous time. And the reality is that the truth that I shared with you there about the future is holding true today. That in our near and far futures, the future doesn't fit into the same containers or even screens of our past. And it's really important to frame up where we are. Where we are is we are actually amidst a great societal transformation. It's one of the greatest in human history, and that includes an industrial revolution. The outlines of the Industrial Revolution include the convergence of general purpose technologies for mobility, energy, and communications. We are moving from the age of progress to the age of resilience. Let me let the slides catch up here for a sec. So when we think about moving from the age of progress to the age of resilience, right, that's the larger framing. And we need to remember that as we're moving through that, there are kind of new laws, scientific laws that are helping us progress at such a fast clip. One of those laws actually happens to be the law of thermodynamics. And it is those laws that are actually making the world feel like it is progressing faster than we can keep up with. Because in the law of thermodynamics, for every action, there is a reaction. So if we start to think about this great transformation, moving from if we think about this, it is about moving a multi-generational shift on what we actually value. Moving from efficiency to adaptivity, and from productivity to regenerativity. And this is about going from valuing growth to actually valuing flourishing human beings, and thinking about owning things and moving to the access of things. This also applies to things like seller and buyer markets, which we're actually seeing the really neat outlines of user-provider networks. And this is also shaking up the way that we operate. Thinking about, if we think about in the age of progress, we focused on the linear, and now we are moving to agile cybernetic processes. And this is also something that we learned in COVID, right? Moving from vertical to lateral economies. We knew vertical actually didn't help us that much. And neither did centralized value chains. What you're seeing is a production of many distributed value chains. And what I will tell you is that the value of corporate conglomerates is waning, right? Because what is being valued is agile, high-tech, small and medium cooperatives that will be blockchain in a fluid commons. The thing that you hear a lot about in the news is all the intellectual property and copyrights, right, when we talk about AI. And the reality is that the laws are being established as we speak. I actually have the opportunity of actually consulting both at the federal, state, and local levels in many states. And what effectively is happening is that we are redefining intellectual property into the world of open source. And that takes us to, for many years in the age of progress, we valued globalization. And what you are seeing right now is the value of globalization. And that also means that for all of the zero-sum gains that we gained, right, what we really want is network effects and moving from consumerism to eco-stewardship. And as we are all going to live a lot longer, given the biotech that is actually being produced today, that is about moving from the value of GDP to quality of life indicators, and from negative externalities to circularity, from the geopolitics of now to the biopolitics of tomorrow. And the reality is that if we start to think about this, that has such a grander scale, particularly those of us who have really enjoyed living here in the United States, the most innovative democracy on earth. But one of the things I will tell you is that we are moving from a democracy that we love and defend today to tomorrow's bureaucracy or glocal peopleocracy. And this transformation is being accelerated by an economic supercycle. An economic supercycle that essentially is an extended period of booming demand that is elevating the prices of goods, services, and talent at unprecedented rates and speeds. This supercycle is operating on our rapid demand and adoption of biotech, the Internet of Things, that's those connected ecosystems, right, and artificial intelligence. These are each general purpose technologies that are converging, which is what makes this industrial revolution entirely different than the ones that came before. So, to participate fully in this transformation from the age of progress to the age of resilience, I wanted to give a little bit of AI literacy in the room. You hear a lot of buzzwords. I'm going to dispel the myth. Because I'm an engineer, the first thing I want you to know is how these things work. Because in order for you to adapt into this new economy, which, let's be very clear, it's here, right? This new economy where 1.1 billion jobs have already transformed and thousands of new agile companies are getting funded from VCs, federal and state grants. That's all already happening. So AI, right, the importance of understanding what is AI and how do you use it in your business is critical. And it's not just the tools. I am not here to sell you a tool. ChatGPT is wonderful, but it isn't going to take care of your operations. However, the large language models that power it certainly may play a role. So let's just define it. AI is a set of foundational technologies like natural language processing and understanding, pattern recognition, machine and deep learning platforms, data, that's data mining, right? Visual recognition systems, decision management systems, virtual agents like Alexa, Siri, and Vaya that I have in my ear, as well as hardware. This is an important part. You've heard about the semiconductor boom, right? So this is all about AI-optimized hardware. And the next part of this is how that collides with robotic process automation, whether it's in our factories, right, or even in our advertising. Now, what's really super seminal, because I want to give generative AI the context of today, the seminal innovations of variational autoencoders, which are called VAEs, generative adversarial networks called GANs, which by the way is how we get deep fakes, and transformers have all combined to actually bring us generative artificial intelligence. And it's this AI that is capable of actually generating text, images, audio, videos, and it's all utilizing huge data models. A large language model is a data model. It's a regenerative data model that often responds to text or even voice prompts. And right now, generative AI is a game-changing seedling in a vast AI forest. It's not just a smart tool. Don't be fooled, okay? This is a generative, if you think about that, a general purpose technology, and that only comes around once in a lifetime. But let's talk about how it is fundamentally changing how we create and distribute information, like stories, art, music, and even our ads. So for perspective, for those of us in the field of AI, we categorize generative artificial intelligence as narrow AI. And so I wanted to give you a roadmap for those of us in the industry of AI of where we're headed. These AIs, if you think about generative AI, these AIs are specialized experts and way faster at specific tasks than any human can be. And we've moved from winning chess and Jeopardy with AI to talking to smart speakers to assist you to today, right? Generative AI doing far more complex tasks, generating and creating advertising that can reflect who's walking by and serve up valuable information all in real time. And this is where things get really interesting. We in the field are not close to being done. I'm only 50, and I'm living to 120, so we're just getting started. We're building towards general AI, a level of machines, right, that can understand and learn anything that a human can. Scary or exciting? I bet you it's a little bit of both. And the ultimate goal, you ask? It's super intelligent AI. This is next level smart, smarter than the smartest humans in every field. We're a little bit away from that. I would say we're at least, if we get it right, somewhere between 25 and 30 years from that. And it's not here yet, right? But it's on the horizon. So what does this mean to all of you? It means smarter cities, individualized ads, and healthier humans. Maybe, just maybe, even solving some of our biggest challenges. And boy, doesn't it feel like we've got some big challenges ahead? Now, I think it's important for the audience today, right? All of you advertisers and folks that are actually producing the technology that make out-of-home possible, is that this is not a fad. So while it feels like AI has had a lot of ups and downs, it's a 50-year technology, right? This has been on a trajectory since before the 1950s. And it does feel like AI is having a little bit of a hot girl summer. It's had lots of menopauses as well for you ladies out there. But AI has reached maturity, and that is why when we think about it, narrow AI has actually reached maturity, and we are beginning to see the next outlines of deep reasoning required for general AI. So for those of you standing between fear and love, I want you to remember just this. We need to remember that never in human history have we ever seen a path to progress where we have left tech, or in this case, AI, behind. When we learn to adapt, we can apply AI to things like mobility. It will reshape advertising right here in our streets and on our beaches. AI is embedding resilience into smart cities right now. Let's talk about vehicle displays. One of the things that's really important, you think, autonomous vehicles, what do I care about this? Let's actually talk. I'm pretty sure that when I quit driving that car, number one, I'm going to be wanting to look at displays all over the world, but more importantly, I'm not going to own that car. It's going to be a part of a user network. And so those displays are going to be driving, moving billboards. These smart cars can show ads, important information, and even interactive content right on the exteriors. And it gets kind of cooler. The displays can actually change based on where they are and who's around. Walking, like, think about it this way. You could be walking through a food desert, or at least a healthy food desert, right? But the vehicle display might help you discover a healthy alternative in that food desert. Now I want you to check this out. Drones. Drones aren't just for cool camera shots anymore. They're becoming more mobile, and they're becoming mobile out-of-home platforms. Flying high screens with banners, right, and holography, and catching the eyes and ears of exactly the crowds that you want to see and where they gather. So it's actually perfect for events, right? These drones don't just adapt their messages to concerts and festivals and games. They're actually making sure that the right message hits the right crowd. But how do we have all of these ads hit the right mark? Enter data integration and individualization. AI can analyze data from these autonomous vehicles and drones, understanding travel patterns and habits. This all can happen today. The question is, who in this room is actually going to build the platform or has the platform to make it real? It's all about connecting smarter, not harder. And as our world becomes more connected, our ads do too, making the urban jungles that we live in a little bit more intelligent and a heck of a lot healthier if we can design it that way. So let's talk about very quickly how AI and renewable energy are powering the world of advertising. People always think about how do these two things of an industrial revolution actually come together? But I think they're going to make it greener and more resilient in the age of resilience. I want you to look around and you might start noticing power stations like these, right? They're not just showcasing ads, they're powered by solar panels. And this means the reduction of carbon footprints, right? Keeping things lit without straining the planet. And it's not just about the energy they use, it's also how they're made. Today's billboards are actually turning greener with recyclable materials and non-toxic paints. It's all about sustainability, people, from creation to operation. And this is where AI makes that easier and possible. And those that are living in windy areas, maybe a windy city, imagine wind-powered displays. Small turbines collect every breeze, powering and lighting those digital screens. It's a brilliant way to harness AI and natural energy. And why does this matter? Because by integrating AI with renewable energy and outdoor ads, it's not just catching your eye, it's paving the way for a more sustainable future. We're seeing smarter, self-sustaining setups that mesh perfectly with our intelligent, eco-conscious world. And that's what AI, but wait, my favorite slide. AI and biotech, what does this mean to the out-of-home industry? Well, let me just actually tell you, enter environmental biosensing. I want you to imagine out-of-home media that monitors the air quality and UV levels, and maybe even picking up disease in populations. Now think about little smaller things like these things that I'm wearing in my ears. Biowearable sensors that collect data right from that environment or even our bodies. Just like this pair of Vibes AI earbuds, this tech can trigger out-of-home media to display ads tailored to our immediate needs, suggesting something like, I don't know how many of you actually suffer from allergies, but it could be able to tell me, hey, here's allergy meds, right, on a high pollen day. And it gets more personal with biometric data. Sensors can now read our mood and stress levels. So if you're feeling a little bit sluggish or even anxious while you're walking back and forth here on the stage, you might pass a screen offering a quick vibrational therapy or a relaxing spa weekend. This is what is capable, right? With AI and biotech and outdoor ads are becoming more interactive, but they're also becoming more intelligent, making sure that the message you see is exactly what you need right when you need it, making life on Earth a little bit easier and a little bit healthier. It's tech for resilience, tech for humans. So while those are just a few of the futures that we can choose from today, I am a firm believer in the great wisdom of Bucky Fuller, who reminds us that the best way, and I have found this, by the way, throughout my career of designing products, is that I don't have to create or predict the future. I have to get to the business of designing it. And so with that, as a leader in AI, I hope that this is evidence that we can design a future, right? Where an intelligently resilient media ecosystems can actually be possible. So the fact of the matter is that we've got 2 other speakers here today, and I am pretty sure you're going to see evidence that this is not some far-off future, that it's happening right now. And each one of you in this audience has a decision to make, whether you're going to lean in or you're going to wait it out. I would tell you I'd lean in, roll up your sleeves, put your agile teams to work, because this is what is in front of us. Now, the evidence that the next 2 speakers are going to share with you is going to outline this much further. Now I'm going to turn it over to Avery Akkineni from VaynerX, and later on you're going to hear from Dallimore from Lamar Advertising. They're going to offer further evidence that when we make intentional choices and act as a catalyst in crafting our near and far futures, that we can design intelligently resilient media ecosystems that work for everyone, everywhere, every single day. Thank you. Come on out, Avery.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, everybody, and thank you, Joanna, for that inspiring session on sort of the next of AI. I have the privilege of getting to speak about the now from AI. So I'm Avery Akkineni, and I'm the CMO at VaynerX, and I'm going to share with you our agency's perspective today around what's happening in the world of generative AI. It is no surprise that AI has dominated headlines in 2024. You know, as soon as that ChatGPT moment happened, it went skyrocketing through the roof, and it hasn't slowed down a bit. We see headlines coming out from brands, from companies, from earnings reports. Everyone is talking about the future of AI and balancing between, is it love, is it fear, is it somewhere in between? And what we focus at within the walls of Vayner is how we can use generative AI to help our clients do better marketing. There's so many different disciplines and dimensions to how to use generative AI for marketers, whether that's consumer, better understanding what's happening with your consumers in real time, leveraging the unique power of generative AI to get quicker, faster, better insights, product related, understanding trends better, refining and personalizing your messaging, or sort of just this general idea of how you can use generative AI to be better, faster, more agile, more accurate marketers. So that's what we're going to talk about right now. And you know, the reason that we're so excited about a lot of this is that innovation has historically fueled growth. If you think back to many different formats of technology that many of you all in this room have been parts of, oftentimes it feels a little bit scary. It's like, you know, it's slowly, and then all at once. If I think back to the advent of using Excel, so bankers used to manually calculate things, right? Like this is how the financial world worked. And the pre-tech baseline before Excel, data analysis was really labor intensive, specialized people had to do it, and you know, it required a lot of rounds of revision and checking. Then came the adoption of this sort of new technology of Excel that streamlined the production of really strong reports, making it easier and more efficient. But that didn't mean we didn't need bankers anymore and we didn't need financial services professionals. In fact, it just enabled them to be faster, better, and smarter. So this is an analogy I love to show to my clients and to our partners and teams, is that it's not going to be an AI bot that takes away your job or that replaces your team. It's going to be somebody who actually understands how to use these tools and to echo Joanna, can jump right in. And you know, there are many dimensions of ways to jump right in. It can start with your individual productivity. Many of you all in this room are probably using things like ChatGPT or Claude or you know, Google's tools to automate things like thank you notes and you know, quick reporting or your social captions. So it can start with that individual productivity, circle out to that organizational team workflow and automation, and then ultimately you know, start to affect consumers at scale. For out-of-home professionals, you're probably thinking, yes, but our workflow is not necessarily something that can be replaced easily with AI. And you're exactly right, but across these different sort of semicircles, you can see the different ways that generative AI can supercharge your workflow, enabling this sort of unprecedented efficiency. And specifically in that middle bucket is where I think it starts to get really interesting. Of course, individually, we can all be a little bit faster, sharper. Even, our Google workplace is populating emails these days. But I think the organization and team workflow is really interesting when you think about the many hands that go into actually producing an out-of-home campaign. So this is one where I think there's a lot of room to grow, especially in the industry of media, is finding ways for people to work more cohesively and collaboratively together, through workflow automation tools. Whether it's tools like your CRM partners or your data providers, they are enabling this right now, today. We see this happening across our whole suite of clients. They have their own versions of AI tools that they can use to better understand their data, better share across their different teams and cross-functional stakeholders. And this is not just the clients of Vayner. I think every Fortune 500 has ramped up their strategic AI focus to understand what's really happening here and start to think about how they can implement some of this to be better businesses. No surprise in the world of tech, we're seeing this result in a lot of efficiency from a workflow perspective. We're also seeing ways that these companies are using AI to do manual tasks that previously needed specific offshoring or different employees. So the total mentions that have happened in strategic AI in Fortune 500 calls has gone up, and now it's kind of normalized into the now of something that people are just thinking about. And in the world of marketing, there are a few trends that kind of stand out to me. We had those first stunt moments, plenty of out-of-home campaigns that kind of played into this. The Nikon example is one that really is striking to me of, the camera company showing that you can't replace real life with generative AI. And I think that's an example of sort of authentically playing into the trend and to the zeitgeist of the fact that AI is on everybody's minds. That's the talk track at Cannes or OAAA's conference, is understanding more about AI. I think we're also seeing companies lean into sort of highlighting these AI functionalities, from Google to Duolingo to auto manufacturers talking about their AI-enhanced capabilities. And then probably the most fun aspect is this idea of unlocking fan creativity and participation by enabling consumers to do things like play around with your brand IP and logo, as Coca-Cola or Carvana have done so successfully. And if I look into our sort of crystal ball of the way that marketers are going to use generative AI in the future, I think it's going to be something that's worked into our workflow the same way media planning tools are, the same way creative checking tools are, the same way creative testing is. I think AI devices are going to move from being, this sort of coastal elite thing to the total norm for everyone. And AI devices will continue to emerge and be used much more broadly than they are today. And consumer adoption will go totally mainstream. We all know that students are power adopters of things like ChatGPT, and it's actually resulted in many universities and high schools starting to even put specific rules around ensuring that there's original content written by a human. But this will soon be really something that everybody understands and has access to. Back to that slowly and then all at once, the same way we saw that in sort of the era of search engines, the era of social media, where it starts with the young kids, it gets to be maybe their parents, and then all of a sudden it's everyone. We're going to see that same thing for AI tools, and marketers are going to be some of the quickest adopters of this to really bake it into their process. And I want to end also on a little bit of a word of caution. It's one of the reasons that we at Vayner, we love chasing innovation. We love to be first to a trend. And this is actually one place where we haven't been as vocal or as loud as some other innovation trends that have happened. And it's the fact that there are some very real legal and ethical considerations as we look to implement AI campaigns at scale. So I think over the next months and years, we're going to see some very important legislation kind of cross our desks. We're going to see some important examples of what not to do, especially in an election year. And of course, we'll see some examples of these very small companies powered by AI that are doing these things that we're all like, wow, I can't believe you did that. So, being mindful of the legal and regulatory environments, we're jumping right in here, and I would encourage you to do the same. And I'm going to just end on this quote, which bears repeating, that AI is not going to take your job. I know a lot of people worry about that. Even on my own team, they're like, do I need to be worried about my role as a copywriter? Do I need to be worried about my role as the designer? The reality is no, if you can learn to embrace these new tools. There's always a new wave of technology, and those who lean into it and dive right in and embrace are the ones who can help shepherd the next generation of marketers. So thank you all so much for listening to my talk, and I'm very thrilled to pass it off. And I'm very thrilled to pass it off to the wonderful Dallimore from Lamar.
Awesome. Thank you. First off, thanks for skipping the beach and the pool to be here with us. And Avery, thank you. Joanna, thank you. So we've heard about AI from a marketing and media ecosystem, but we're all here for out of home. So how do we apply this to our industry? Raise of hands, how many of you guys are utilizing AI today? Perfect, I'd love to see that. 64% of marketing workers are already leveraging AI today. So I'm going to quickly touch on the 4 industrial revolutions and the impact specifically it's had on our industry. It's important to note that none of these revolutions were directly impacted to our industry. And what I mean by that is none of those were built for us, but we evolved with them. The first revolution was fueled by coal, and we saw the rise of railroads. That then led for easier transportation for larger circuses, which led to the birth of the American poster. Then came gas, which led to the highway development and the growth of the roadside billboard. The electronic and digital age helped reshape advertising, paving the way for computerized vinylized painting and the onset of digital billboards. So now we find ourselves amidst the 4th industrial revolution. It's characterized by digital technology, and this is where AI and robots come into play. So for media, this means we can do nothing, and we've seen the rise and fall of newspaper and radio, or we can embrace the technology and evolve again. As Rashad Tabakawala rightfully said, out of home is the only media form that only gets better with new technology. So of course, there's a fear looming over us that robots are going to take our jobs and AI is going to be misused. But let's remember, history repeats itself. Just like the transition from farms to factories, we're at another pivotal moment. It's time for our moment. It's our time to stop running and start facing those fears. AI has been actually integrated into out-of-home for over 2 decades now, powering digital out-of-home innovations such as dynamic creative, audience targeting, and even programmatic digital out-of-home. So it's not a question of if AI will impact our lives, but how. So AI should enable the industry to become much more efficient. We can create efficiencies. What used to take 3 hours can now take 3 minutes. And this is the most important thing, guys. It gives us the ability to be better storytellers. It's what we're all great at in this space. Before we get into some potential what-if scenarios for AI, it's important to understand that the day-to-day activities and acknowledge where AI presents significant opportunities for our industry itself. So again, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. It won't solve every challenge overnight. It's about embracing incremental change over time. While there are numerous AI companies, as Shelley went through earlier today, companies like OpenAI, ChatGPT, Adobe Firefly, Gemini, and thousands of others that are entering the space today, let's set aside those familiar names and players for now, and let's focus on imagining the broader possibilities for our industry. Let's envision how AI could reshape our daily responsibilities and inspire curiosity about the future of the out-of-home industry. For our sales reps, all of you out in the crowd, AI, and I want you to think about this, AI could transform prospecting, contact information, competitive analysis. What used to take weeks for AEs to go out and do can now take seconds. With a click of a button, predictive AI could allow publishers to display not only what's real-time availability, but most importantly, based on historical data, KPIs, and even performance metrics. And generative AI could populate pitch decks by simply asking chat to pull case studies, creative within seconds. And again, the purpose of this isn't replacing the AEs, it's truly allowing them to focus on what is important, which is storytelling and selling. Our designers are the most important thing in our industry. But the use of generative AI for simple Photoshop tasks, such as adding and removing elements, texting, resizing, what if AI could pull the exact image using chat rather than scrolling for that perfect image that your client's campaign is looking for? AI isn't just about saving time, but it's also unlocking the creative possibilities. Imagine generating custom mocks tailored specifically to locations with weather conditions, or even receiving intelligent design suggestions based on past campaigns' performances, and even things like speed, distance from the road, or consumer interaction. And most importantly, for our ops folks, who are oftentimes not thought about, what if AI could streamline shipping, scheduling, route planning within one seamless process? Picture a platform using AI with real-time traffic, weather, location data to optimize logistically for operations. Most importantly, what if AI could read panel structure data, for example, heights, and current wind speeds that may be unable to post, but in real time shift to the next location, while also talking to consumers and agencies in real time about these delays? And for our GMs and our management, what if AI could help handle expenses during inflation and ensure fair and profitable leases and rev share while analyzing sales costs? Imagine where AI could reduce downtime for our digital assets and extend the asset life, while real-time pricing adapts to market trends. And what if predictive AI could help optimize rates based off of contract demands, events, ensuring that we're maximizing revenue? Gary Vee said, "Technology is undefeated and it will come for you eventually, so prepare for it." So with this new emerging technology, there's not just one thing that you should be doing, it's a moment. We will run into challenges, but there is a greater big picture opportunity to future-proof our industry. Thank you guys, and enjoy the rest of the show.